Hello, welcome back to my studio, and today we're going to make another angel. Now, as you can see here, I've started her. I had 5 pieces and I took them to my machine and I played around actually. I did several attempts at trying to join them. I've done the seam down the back, and as you can see here, I had a mistake and cut one of the pieces in half. I've trimmed very close to the satin edge on one side, but on the other side I've left it open so that I could flap it over, and I tried several methods, and in the end I decided to do on my machine a line of quite large running stitches just up against the edge of this satin. I had problems aligning everything. The most important thing is that the skirt joins at the bottom here. The top here is insignificant, it's not visible. So if you look here really carefully, you can see that I've put the 2 bits together and I've just done a little series of running stitches to hold them in place at the base, and then I've sewn up from that point, and that worked well. Now, in fact, this has been stitched out on soft and sheer on this lovely cream felt. I made this because I saw a wonderful picture of 3 Norwegian ladies in their traditional dress, and one of them was in cream, and I'm afraid I've always been a cream girl, and so I wanted to make my cream version of this. So that is the base. Now, although I've got some pellum here, theoretically it doesn't need the pellum. When the skirt is stitched out on felt, it almost supports itself. So when these were joined together like that, and here is my triangle of pellum, that can just be pushed into the base here like that, and then you just have to do the necessary trimming. As I've explained in previous videos, I always start my pellum bigger than it needs to be. So I'm going to start at the top and just cut off what I don't need up here. I don't want to use those scissors. So you like me, I've got so many scissors, and I know this looks horrendous using the big ones, but my reason for using a big pair of scissors is that I can do nice big snips. So I'm just going to take this curve in a little bit more and then offer it up and then trim it at the bottom. Right. I've got a pencil here and I'm going to go round making a mark as a guideline. If you just don't want to wing it like I sometimes do. Take that out and we can see where we've got to cut it. When you're trying to do a nice big curve like this, it's a good idea to go for big scissors. It's also a good idea not to look at the camera while you're cutting. Now, I'm very excited today because I feel like I've got a real audience today, because I've actually got 3 cameras working. Well, let's hope they're working. Just pop that in the bin. So there are 3 views of what I'm doing today, and I will try and look up and say hi in the camera every now and then. So let's see how this is looking. Obviously the join has to be at the back. We're almost there on that. Right, so there is our base. Okay. Now Now let's look at the remains, what else we have to do with the angel. Now this, as I've explained, is my cream version of the Norwegian bunad. Bunad. I don't know how to speak Norwegian. I stitched out these tops. Now here we see the front and the back, and I stitched them out on the cream felt. So they are quite thick. I've done most of the trimming and I've just got to trim this one. I use Sulky Soft and Sheer as my stabilizer. I had the option. I could have decided to do the cream and not do a cream. Let me try again. I could have decided not to do it on felt, although the base was felt. The top didn't need to be. It does make it a little bit bulkier, and obviously I've done the stitches on top as well, so we've got to cut her plaits. Important thing is to make sure that you cut every bit. And I like to cut down as near to the stitching as I can get, but only cutting the white, which is the bobbin thread. There we are. And I'm not going to trim those plaits, I'm going to leave them exactly as they are. As you can see, I've got a tiny little bit of felt showing around the edge, which will happen when you stitch it out on a thicker material. So here's our support, and I'm just looking at her and I'm thinking, it's got a wonky head. Now, you may say, well, how on earth's that happened? Obviously, I pulled the head over slightly as I was stitching on the boning on the back here. So we may have to trim this if it's sticking out. We've got a pair of freestanding hardanger lace wings, and we're going to glue all this together. There's nothing to do on the back there, that's all trimmed, and there's a little bit of embroidery. Did you see the deliberate lip mistake? This reflects the rose malling embroidery, not the embroidery for this one. There are so many choices. As you customise your angel, be very careful that you choose the right design. Not make a mistake like me. This is my Gutermann Creative fabric glue, which I have found successfully works on these angels. I'm going to put glue on the upper bit. I'm not going to put glue down here because this is where it sits on the skirt. And I've just noticed I've not cut out the felt. Now let's see whether we can actually cut the felt. These are very sharp Husqvarna scissors with tiny little snips I'm able to take with. Now, if you don't want a loop on your angel, you can remove that and not just stitch it out. Just left the stabilizer in place. So you can remove them and not stitch them out, or if you stitch it and then decide you're not going to hang your angel and she's just going to stand, then you can just snip across there. Right, so I need to clean the top of my nozzle. Let's try again. Oh, here comes the glue. You don't need an awful lot of this glue. I'm sure there are lots of other glues that you could use, but I've found it works successfully. So all I'm going to put on there, and it doesn't matter which side your boning is. I tend to put it on the back because it's been on a roll, so it tends to curve a little bit, and better that it's curving back than forward. I'm going to lay her down and put that on the top so that I can line everything up. Do you see that? The support is just a little bit smaller than the tops of any of the angels so that it shouldn't overlap. I'm going to come around the front and just make sure it's upright and aligned, otherwise the angel will be leaning. That's fine. Now, if you want to put the wings on, you can put them either side of the support, just seeing which is the back and which is the front. This is the back. Whoops, my glue's dripping, so I'm just going to put that on there. And put the top on. Line her up. There. This is so much easier. If you're like me and you find hand sewing difficult, especially through thick layers like we've got here, glue works perfectly. And then on top of that, you can go the back bit, providing it matches your angel. And I'm sure you'll forgive me for putting on a back that doesn't match. Try and not get glue all over me as I'm dealing with cameras and everything. Try not to get high on the glue as well. Right. The backs of these angels can be left plain. You don't have to do the embroidery. It just means that the top section of the angel just looks a little bit neater. And that's all gone together nicely. Oops. There we are. And I don't think I need to do any trimming. Everything's looking fine. Now, the next thing we have to do is actually take this angel and attach her to the skirt.